Today we have a real treat. Cube draft videos from many seats around one table. Welcome to Cultic Cube, where we cube religiously. We make you better at cube and make your cube better. A number of friends gathered to draft Sniffygull's Monkey Cube the other day. We had a blast. A number of the participants streamed the event. As a consequence, we have a wealth of insight into how different people evaluate cards, packs, and cubes. And we can see how different people's decisions at the draft table affect their peers' choices. Today we will watch 4 complete draft videos from Jonathan Brostoff, JJ the ManCub, Zach Barash, and me. Friends John W. and Paul Baranay have kindly recorded quick deck techs for us. And finally, the cube designer himself, Sniffygull, who also participated in the draft, concludes with his thoughts on all the decks and how insight into drafters' real-time thoughts inform his understanding of his own cube. First, a quick word about the environment. The Monkey Cube uses cards from Magic Origins forward, and thereby wholly embraces modern card design. It is of middle power level, with a relatively flat power band, though Sniffy allows for some fun power spikes here and there. The format tends toward mid-range, and it encourages playing to the board. Decks may be built around narrow archetypes, such as Blink or what have you, but such archetypes do not have to anchor a deck, and can instead offer incidental value. I had a ball drafting and playing Sniffy's well-designed cube. We drafted on draft.info, and then played our games on MTGO. We divided into 2 teams, and played a round-robin tournament, such that each person played each member of the opposing team. Nobody went undefeated, and I'll leave reporting our records until the end. So, without further ado, let's dive into the draft. We'll begin with Jonathan Brostoff, in seat 5, and work our way around the table. J-Bro is the all-time winningest cuber on MTGO, and a popular streamer. J-Bro and I are organizers of CubeCon, and we have worked together on Cultic Cube and Chateau Cube projects.
So right away, black and white have a critical mass of 1 drops, something to notice. Red does not. There's not a ton of elves off the shelf. Hey, there we go. Let's go. Okay. We're muted. Alright, so what are we picking out of this? Alright, we have 45 seconds left. What do we like, Chad?
Take this Thraben Inspector real quick.
How dare! Alright. Winoda's OP? Which one's Winoda? Oh, this card? It is pretty good. What about the cat? It makes cats. I like that idea. Whenever it attacks, whenever a non-human creature enters, you look at the top 6 cards from... Okay, we gotta make it pick. Oh! Oh, crap. Thought I clicked it and it didn't. Okay, looks like we got Chandra. Wow. Judith is pretty fantastic, and if it's in here, it means that there's probably black sack. Okay, there we go. That's selected. You want to say? Well, that's okay. We start with a 6-minute card. Alright, we'll take Judith. Yeah, thanks, Pogo. Yeah, I'm still learning. Oh my, we had a Hualte? Not that card does, it looks awesome. Ooh, Yahili seems good if we're doing something with sacrificing creatures. Oh, it's never packs backed up on you, I see. We had none because we were good to go. Okay. Let's Sundered Rebuke. 4 damage to creature planeswalker. Okay. Solid removal. Arch of Okasta sounds good. I like drawing cards. What does the Night Shepherd do? Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. You do create... Oh my! Well, that's good for a sacrifice deck, right? Oh no! What the heck? Ah! Oh my gosh, we're getting totally pwned in here. Ugh. Okay, we gotta go quicker, I guess. Alright. That really stunk. We wanted that 4/4 would have been amazing for us. That card's great in the sacrifice deck. Ugh, that was losing out on your third pick. That is a foul more. I thought that, yeah. Pound. Okay. That's okay, we're gonna rally. Alright, Phoenix. Fine. Ashiok's good too. Phoenix. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, not having that 4/4. Not good. Not good. Okay. Bastion seems good if we're sacrificing stuff. Target opponent reveals hand from the hand equivalent of creatures to your party. Choose one discarded. Ooh. It's pretty good too. We already have a shaman. Wizard we probably get. Bastion's very good too. Can we wheel that little dude? Take the Bastion. As long as there are 4 more instants, gets +3/+1. The 1/3 for 2. Huh. Pretty good. But yeah, we'll take Crater Baiter because we're sacrificing creatures in this deck. So it's dual land. Cast for an Exile Universe, target a spell ability. Spells Exile? Mobilize District. So take that. The Dragon's Call Summit. Eternal Spiritualist Nightmare Shepherd. Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe it would wheel. Guess we'll take this. Did not come back to us. Although Yahini did come back, we could have both. Oh. Dice deals 2 damage. Okay, that does something. Seems like what we want to be doing. Lots of mic noise. Uh-oh. Let's take that. Ah, man, missing out on that 4-drop really hurts. That would have been so good for this deck, especially like Phoenix. Ugh. A little goblin. Gain control of target creature and opponent controls on have that creature gains haste. Okay, so we can just like take their stuff and sacrifice it, right? Seems good. Software Engineer is good too. Obviously, the Desert's good. Breaker's good. Finale's good. And Johnny's great. I wish I could have taken that. Okay. So yeah, we'll happily take that 4-drop. That's going to be very good for us. Wish we could arrange these. Is there a way to arrange them by CMC? Oh, there we go. Okay. Create a 1/1 Theta. Take that. Ooh, Cutthroat. Cutthroat's good for what we're doing. Got Cutthroat and Judith. I wonder if the other one's in here. Yeah, Cutthroat. Again, not having that 4/4 really stings. Not to mention sending the Signal of Blacks over to someone. Although Captivating Cruise can be pretty good for us. If one thing that sacrifices creatures. Okay, Heartless Act is good. Air attacks. That's pretty good. we're just making lots of tokens and like stuff like that. That's pretty good for us. Heartless Axe very good too. But I guess we're gonna have like a good amount of removal, right? Alright. Ball. Oh wait. I click something first. Axe. I love Dragon Master Outcast. Card's very good, but Liliana's just bang bang. I don't know how much fixing there is in this cube. Let's see. Oh, I guess there's some more. Shock, Eliminate. Ooh. I like the idea of X and stuff, huh? Oh, it just destroys? Oh, it gets Planeswalkers too, though. Okay, thought that was something else. There. There's a sacrifice creature, but Eliminate's gonna be quite good for us. Plus, we want to be able to get like our Garrison and stuff like that. Oh, it's from the Discord call. Gotcha. Gotcha. Sorry about that. Okay, so I mean, our deck's okay. It's like kind of got what we want going on. It's got a good mix of critters and sack on. It's just missing really good for. Okay. Temple Mouse, Agnes, Morrison, P, and Kiera. And so all these are good for us, so we're just gonna... When it's a situation like this and all these are kind of like equally good for us, I don't know, DeLorean. We're just gonna take the land most of the time, especially when we need... What was the card? Harrison? Yeah. Oh, Battlements.
Where's JJ's got like 5 packs lined up? Come on, man.
So I got packs lined up? Let's see. Oh my. May sacrifice a creature. Okay, that's probably the card we want for this deck. Although, Lithiform Engine's dope as hell. Collective Brutality. Null Priest of Oblivion. Null Priest of Buck's looking pretty dope. There's no like combo stuff that's right. Like what are we trying to hit? Yeah, so therefore Null Priest is probably better for us. Alright, we did get it back. Oh, we also got back. Huh. Now we want stuff that does stuff. Yes? Like that? If you guess +2/+0. Take it. I think you let Showdown there. And we got the Pia back. Let's go. So I'm talking about, baby. Being curious good with Top Engineer too. Wow, Lithiform Engine came back? Did I read this card wrong? Copy an activated or triggered ability. Copy an instant assessor copy target opponent. Spell you control. Wow. That seems busted, right? Doesn't that seem great? If we take a Desert of the Glorified, we can sack it to our other deserts. That's kind of good. Fire's Eruption deals 3, and you can kick 5. And I kick it. I also like Angeroth here, but and Hangerbanger, of course, but I think we just want a little bit more early. Get a tad bit shy on that front. Ooh, Treasure Map and Citadel, huh? Cryptic Cave seems great as well. Bobo. I think we're taking treasure and happy about it here. Dreadwander seems good, but I think we just want Karn. Probably Dreadwander comes back anyway. But Karn does a lot for us. It's quite good. We want one more dual land in our deck's We're good to go. Just want one more dual land. Ooh, Bone Crusher Giant's good. What does Sarkhan do? Discard a card. So you can cycle pretty quick. What does this do? 200 for a land. Wow, that's pretty good. Ooh, Spawn of Mayhem? On that card. Here are the critics. Bone Crusher Giant's very good. Also means you can probably not. Alright, Bone Crusher Giant's very good. We'll take that. The 3-mana Planeswalker is quite good as well. Enters a battlefield. Wow, Dovin's in this? Ooh. Like that. Enters a battlefield, target hero. What's this do? Whenever it enters a battlefield, choose a human or artifact opponent control. So as long as it's in battlefield, gain control of that permanent. This is all. Oh. Huh. It's probably good. Right? This is a homemade cube. I don't know if it's Arena or... Ooh, Pia and Liliana. And Lava Coil Boil. And whatever this card is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, we're gonna take Lily then. It's the strongest of the pack. That means... Yeah, ooh, and we got the Canyon Slough. We also got Elspeth's Nightmare. Card 2 is quite good in this. Actually, Battle of the Bridge 2 is very good. Okay, so what are we cutting from this? Lightning Bolt or Cryptic Caves, huh? I'll take the caves. That's tempting. Cut 2 out of here. I think we cut the Royal Eruption. Wow, Pia made it back. Nice. What are we cutting from this? Maybe Phoenix? This is so good though. We gotta cut one more, huh? Are we actually gonna cut a Null Priest out of this? We might also play the what we have like.
I did get the Thraben Inspector pack too, so sorry.
I knew something wasn't right. I thought I was missing. How'd the deck turn out?
I think it's good. Black, white, aggro. I don't think anybody else was in it, so I pretty much had anything I wanted, but
yeah, black white aggro seems really good. There's a critical mass of 1-drops in both colors.
yeah, should be fun. A lot of tapped lands and difficult lands first, so that might make it hard, but
okay, I think lithium form is what we're gonna cut. Well, can we copy all this stuff? We have like 4 or 5 planeswalkers who can double up on their ability. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planeswalkers. We can like copy Pia and Kieran or whatever, any spell we play, we can copy a lot of good spells. Screw it. I am gonna play it. Talk myself into him.
Paul Baranay, or Bearz, is a level 3 judge who has officiated as head judge at Grand Prix. He has served as a columnist for Star City Games.
Hey everyone, I'm Paul Baranay, but my friends call me Bearz, and you can too. I'm here to talk about the deck I drafted in the Monkey Cube, which I affectionately call 6-color midrange. This deck is basically the unholy union of two archetypes in the cube, the colorless suite and the 3-color plus archetype. Although drafting so many different colors/types of mana has the potential to be a disaster, I was pleasantly surprised that my draft came together like this. I went 3-1 overall, ending up tied for the best record, and the deck was really a lot of fun to play. That said, I wanted to explain a bit about how I ended up with this beautiful pile, and maybe share some guidance that you can use for your next draft, Monkey Cube or otherwise. A couple of general principles. So first, although I didn't spend a lot of time studying the cube list, my initial analysis did suggest that aggro decks might not be very well represented, i.e. I'd have a decent amount of time to set up my game plan. As a result, I wanted to go as over the top as possible. Although I didn't lock myself into a particular archetype ahead of time, I was definitely predisposed towards ramp cards, strong planeswalkers, and powerful finishers as a result of all this. Second, in this cube, wastes are freely available to add to your deck, so I felt like that mitigated some of the risks you sometimes see when drafting powerful colorless cards like Thought-Knot Seer. I also noticed that a lot of the lands in the cube tap for sea, like the Painlands or even the Desert theme, making that even more viable. Third, and a bit of a disclaimer, this deck is definitely a product of my personal taste. I really enjoy gold cards, and I'm definitely willing to gamble with a greedy mana base, maybe a little too much for my own good. As to the draft itself, my very first pick was the card that prompted me to try and dedicate myself to the colorless suite, Forsaken Monument. Doubles your mana, it's double anthem, it's a life cushion, it slices, it dices, it does pretty much everything except draw cards. That pack also had a couple of powerful cards for the colorless deck, like Eldrazi Displacer, Mobilized District, Crawling Barrens, so I felt good about being able to wheel something that I would want to play in that archetype. The next couple of picks were pretty straightforward. In pick 2, my options were a little underwhelming, so I decided to gamble on Winota, Joiner of Forces, just in case I could pull together a Cheat in the Fattiest deck, which also works nicely with Forsaken Monument's mana doubling. The next couple of packs helped solidify the idea that I could aim towards this kind of archetype, as I took Ugin the Ineffable, Roiling Regrowth, and Emrakul the Promised End, all of which are very happy to get doubled. Pick 6 was where my greedy nature first started getting the better of me, as I took Ashiok Nightmare Muse, even though I had 0 blue or black cards at that point. In my defense, the next best pick in that pack would have probably been Ramanop Excavator? The rest of the pack was pretty straightforward. Eldrazi Displacer wheeled, as it's Sylvan Advocate and Cultivate, so I felt good about being based in green. In pack 2, for my first pick there, I skipped the disciplined pick of grabbing Yavimaya Coast or maybe Baby Jace, and instead took Nicol Bolas the Ravager, and started dreaming my big dreams. Things really went off the rails, but in the best way possible, in pack 2, pick 4, and pick 5, as I gobbled up Omnath, the Locus of Creation, and Kenrith, the Returned King, in succession. Since my pool now had very strong cards of all 6 colors, I knew I needed to focus on fixing and my curve, so I started aggressively taking lands wherever that made sense. The only bad thing, honestly, that happened in this pack was that Omnath and Field of the Dead were in the same pack. So I figured someone else would probably be drafting a 3+ color deck as well, and that did prove to be the case. In pack 3, I felt like the core of my deck was basically in place, and I just needed to focus on not dying prematurely and my mana base. I was definitely fortunate to open Thought-Knot Seer as well, since it's a fantastic piece of interaction while also being a colorless creature. A lot of my other picks in this pack didn't actually make the deck, but I do want to shout out a couple of things I picked that were fantastic, such as Traverse the Ulenwald, and surprisingly enough, Thaumatic Compass. Paying 2 + 3 mana to search up whatever basic I needed was actually very reasonable, and later on it even transforms into a Pseudomaze of Ith, which helped a lot. As to the actual games, I would say that the deck performed about as expected. As mentioned, I went 3-1 overall, and all of those matches went to 3 games, which I think is a pretty good sign for the balance of the cube. My first match was against Zach, who had drafted the Pseudo Mirror, a Golos/Field of the Dead deck, and here, Ashiok Nightmare Weaver really carried the day since that card was hard for Zach to interact with. My most notable play was casting Kenrith and giving one of Ashiok's tokens haste to unexpectedly exile 2 extra cards from Zach's library, emptying it, and that meant that Zach decked immediately instead of being able to win with his Thassa's Oracle on the next turn. Match 2 was against Sniffy on the blue-red duplicate spells deck, which was definitely one of the cooler decks to see when it gets to go off and do its thing. I did manage to squeak this match out, although I did drop a game. Shout out to Emrakul for giving one of the worst Mindslay returns I've ever seen. Match 3, I played against Cultic and his blue-black deck. My deck is definitely susceptible to hand disruption and cards like Kitesail Freebooter, so Cultic was able to keep me off my own game plan while effectively pressuring my life total. He also had access to some scary engines like Bulls to Citadel in case the game went long, so although I did take one game off of him, his powerful evasive threats were ultimately able to carry the day in his favor. Finally, in match 4, I played against JJ and his Naya aggro/midrange deck. This was definitely the kind of matchup I was hoping to dodge, but thankfully, Settle the Wreckage put in a ton of work here, as did Omnath and Worldbreaker. If I could do the draft over again, there are a few cards I definitely try to avoid playing. My list of stinkers includes Inscription of Abundance, which is very strong if you can play the board, but pretty conditional for this deck. Incubation Druid, which is a very ineffective mana dork for my archetype, as it never actually gives me a color or type of mana that I don't already have, and Skyclave Relic, which is perfectly serviceable, but there are better options in the cube. There are a couple of things I would have liked to pick up to really make the deck tick, such as a few more dual lands, a better mana dork or mana fixer like Paradise Druid or Dry to the Elysian Grove or Chromatic Lantern. I would have loved to be able to get Ugin the Spear Dragon, as that's a sweeper plus a powerful win con, and I do kind of regret not taking that Ramna Excavator for shenanigans. I also did have a couple of really notable sideboard cards. Big shout out to Settle the Wreckage, which led to some blowouts against JJ. The Elves Reborn was also pretty good in the more grindy games, and surprisingly enough, Quarrel Harpooner, which almost carried me to victory against Cultic's blue-black deck. Overall, this was a super fun draft. I definitely recommend keeping an eye out for decks like this if you can make them come together. I was really glad to participate and shuffle up some virtual cardboard.
We are going to skip Sniffygull for the moment and circle back around to him at the end, when he will provide his bird's eye view of the event. So, let us continue to JJ the ManCub, who has a stream that focuses not only on cube gameplay, but also on cube design. He is my latest guest on the Chateau Cube podcast, and he recently invited me to help him review cubes live on his stream.
There we go. All right, I'm number 8.
Right, this again. Okay, there we go.
Hey!
Hey,
Yeah.
woo!
Woo!
Damn, and some pretty solid picks here.
Take this Thraben Inspector real quick.
I would not
How
mind.
dare!
Hey, D-White. Hey, Dan. Welcome. I'm kind of on these bottom 4, I think. Knight's pretty good. And I'm not, like, dying for, like, a... whatever these Battlelands, whatever these are called. I'm kind of on Chandra, honestly, or Night Pack, but I always go green like that. Yeah, I agree. I think Chandra's was that immediately drew my eye. I mean, a pack one monocolor Planeswalker seems hard to beat overall, right? Like that's pretty just good. Following it up with a Krenko ain't too bad either. I think the only concern I have there is passing Crater Maker and maybe people thinking that red's open, and I'm passing to John Terrell. Could also grab the Gideon and just stay open to like basically any Walker situation that comes up, like, or even just Boros, really. I mean, Gideon into Chandra is not a bad curve. Yeah, Crater Maker does go better. Crater Maker's good, but not a signal. That's fair. Well, I'm going to grab the Gideon, apparently, because time ran out. I'm not mad at that, though. I'm not mad at that. And a red-green land? Maybe. The pathways are good. District isn't... or Barrens, actually, is the better creature land here. Tangled would let us consider splashing into green. Hey BD, welcome. Yeah, I mean, Crater goes better with Chandra. I don't want to get like cut off of red and then end up, foundering. Like, I want to stay a little open in this. I don't love Terranika, which would be the only other white card I'm like have an eye on. I'm gonna grab the Baron, the Florahedron to stay open, because I know John Terrell would consider picking that too. I'm gonna stay a little more open. I love the Caracal. That's very strong. I like the Caracal and I like the Advocate. Hollowblade and Curve Out. That's not a bad idea either. Lands galore. No one's taking their lands. Yeah, I need to pick up some lands. I'm just not sure what we're in, take the Grove at this point. Check land over the red-black check land, probably. Over the Caracal. Radha is thick. I'm a big fan of Radha, although I like the new one better. But yeah, you're not wrong. We should just grab a check land. We should get our veggies. Blue-black. How is Fabled Passage coming around? How is Fabled Passage here? How is Once Upon a Time here? Who opened this pack? What did they take? I mean, I'm just gonna take it. That doesn't even require debate. Carnage Tyrant? I'm actually a pretty big fan of these two cards as well. I like Arcbow probably in this power level. I know I'm not drafting with Cube Core Robots, but I'm drafting with fucking J-Bro and John Terrell. Like, how many lands were in those packs? I think Carnage Tyrant is just the way to go. I'm seeing green. Feels like it's openish. Maybe green-white. Like, the Chandra's lovely, but yeah, like getting an Incubation Druid at this point and seeing the green-white pathway makes me think, and the Grove, the Florahedron, the Carnage Tyrant. I'm seeing green-white. White aggressive. Black looks like maybe it's a little open, but I'm cool to just get into Selesnya. Pathway versus Druid. Yeah, the Druid is a good dork, but there will be other dorks. Whereas there may or may there's a more limited amount of lands, I would think. Yeah, the Druid is probably stronger, but having your lands is a big deal. I mean, y'all saw the pile I drafted the other night, and just the fact that I could draft it, and just the fact that I had the lands was, you know, what did it. Okay, so I also think the Ambusher coming around is a pretty good sign. Because, like, I know I've actually literally seen J-Bro grab that. There's only 4 dorks in the cube. You can fuck right off of that. Yeah, I think that coming around is a good sign. All right, and we're waiting on Sniffy. The Vista. I mean, just get the land. I don't know that the Raptor's pretty good. That's a lot of blue coming around too. I'm just gonna take the land. All right, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I like the Vista. I'm fine with the Vista there. I'm also seeing green-black come around pretty late. And obviously that Radha and the pathway that we just saw says maybe Gruul is open, but holy shit. Okay, green's open. Go ahead and make a note there. Green is open. Holy shit. I guess I don't have to time out on all of these, huh? What card are we missing? We should have 2. Is there not one here? Well, it is our last pick. That's weird. Whoo! Fuck, maybe we're just mono green. I don't love any of these lands. I mean, a Temple and Live for Viv. I'm a pretty big fan of Vivian. I mean, we could go more Gruul to play Chandra, but I don't know that I feel strongly about doing that. Owat did get some disrespect, and I like literally just today, or maybe it was yesterday, was talking about how good it was. The Gruul lands will probably wheel. That's fair. That's fair. So let's see where those at, especially with 2 of them, and they're not the best ones. I mean, I don't even want the Temple. Like, even if we go Gruul. Oh, shit. Oh, snap. Or we could just go 4-color. Oh, Field of the Dead's in here, too. Shit, I wish I'd been taking all those lands. Red's getting it heavy. Yeah, probably. It's more just that we're seeing green-red. But we also, we haven't taken any of it, so... I'm fucking fine with Vivian on 3 and Vivian on 4. Math. Dan, what are you doing, man? Come on. Omnath. If I had taken more of the lands, I would just grab Omnath. And go ahead and just do that. Oh shit, Kogla? Fuck, I kind of wish we could get into blue with Chulane. Like, Bant Creatures is not a bad place to be. And like, I mean, we have some walkers, actually. So maybe not. I'm feeling Kogla. Soon we'll get Vivillon 5. Kogla is great. Kogla's strong, and technically we have one human. Kenrith Wheel Omnath. Oh my god. I mean, I kind of want to take a Johnny, but that really requires more of a field, and we're almost like, we're borderline Super Frenzy. I actually really don't know. I mean, we could grab some red just as a hedge. Like, we might end up being able to do green-red. I know our lands are pretty green-white so far. I mean, we may end up 3-color. I don't really feel either of those white cards, per se. I don't mind some more Vivillon. Actually, probably Goose here, right? Also, the fact that Eldest and Null Priest are going around, like, what colors are people drafting? Is everyone just in red and blue? Like, why is there all this green-black, but also, like, a fair bit of white? I don't know, maybe I'm misreading, but, like, I would snap up Eldest Reborn earlier than this. Everyone's is it except me. That would be exciting. Yeah, I like Goose here. Like you said, I thank you for checking that too, Dan. There's not a lot of... Play Vivtron. I mean, if it came around this far, the Hydra... Like, I think we're just green, and maybe we're splashing white for, like, Gideon at this point. Because, like, I don't even care about Season Hallowblade. God's Willing is fine. But, like, I actually, if those green-red lands come around, I think we're actually very open to that. Or green splashing red and white, now that we have the Goose. If we pick up some lands. I guess this Walker would have been fine, but Hydra's good. Hydra's good. Over the Hydra, though? That's just so...
He's got like 5 packs lined up. Come on, man.
So flexible. All right, I'm getting yelled at. I got to pick faster. Another Gideon. I'll take it. I don't know if we need a 4-mana 4/4, but... Sure. I'll take the Crag. Oh, I didn't even see Dragon Master the first time around. Shock. All right, let's find out if Omnath's sitting waiting for us. There we go. I wish I'd gone a little more blue. I guess it shouldn't surprise me that Chulane came around. I don't know, I'm pretty happy with the red we have. Like, we're pretty monstery. I don't think we want to be sacking. Field was taken too. Yeah, so someone's on there. Someone's on there. I mean, we have a lot of walkers. We actually have someone who's willing to be spot. I actually wasn't totally unwilling. I just I didn't want to do it if I was not sitting on more lands. That's all. Like, I very specifically didn't draft quite as many lands as last time. Cast out seems fine. Burn seems fine. Taking a Dork seems even better. Jesus, at this point, we could just splash whatever we want. I should have grabbed the Chulane. Druid down the bottom. Yep. Yeah, I always am tempted by that Lily, but not in the deck we're in now. I just like it. Oh, fuck! I literally don't even know what to take here. I mean, Glorybringer's just an absolute beating. Steel Leaf is great because we're so heavily green, and Llanowar is another Dork. We did get 2 Dorks. We got the Goose, and we got the Druid. And Tangled Florahedron, actually. We have 3. So I don't feel like I need Elves as much. The Steel Leaf is tempting, because that's just such a beater. But Glorybringer, I mean, that just wins fucking games. Yeah, and the elf might even theoretically come around. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are drafting the dorks. We got that druid kind of late. And the Tangled Florahedron, did that wheel? I thought that wheeled around. I thought we got that late. And I mean, no matter what, like, I think we're in a good place. I would love to see a little bit more red fixing. If not, I think we cut back and really just take the late game stuff that we want as like a finisher, and we don't worry so much about, like, I think Burning Prophet's out. I don't see Satyr's Cunning. Probably Shock. And maybe not even Mina and Den. I don't know. Ooh. I also don't think we're a Nissa deck. We might. I mean, I think Tireless Tracker is just good. And the Ooze is good, but we don't really need more finishers or more like 5. So tired of tracking. Yeah. The red cards are double red, yeah. But we have Goose and we have a couple of the things like that. Yeah, I love that Nissa, but I don't think we're quite there. We want to be a little wider, right? And we have a lot of walkers. We have a lot of big stuff like Glorybringer. We're not going so wide. But we'll always have lands. We'll always have lands. At least that's the plan. I think we are a Cavalier of Thorns deck, though. Or are we a Fires deck? The Thalia wheeling, yeah. I mean, maybe we're fine just playing base green with a little bit of white and red. Could have taken those white-red lands earlier. Fires would let us be a little more aggressive with our splashes. We don't have anything with flash, right? I mean, I'll just take it. Who knows? Who fucking knows? I ain't mad at Elspeth. Yasharn? Yasharn is perfect. Do we have activated abilities to use our mana? Not really. I mean, we can make food tokens. We can pump Lieutenant. We can activate Vivian's Arcbow. That's not too bad. Yeah, I'm fine on Yasharn. I like that. It's quite clear that green-white is open. Probably Wicked Wolf? I don't know that I love any of this. Arcbow Flyers is a fun combo? Yeah, I mean... Oh, Arcbow Fires? Yeah, Arcbow is gross. And what I love about Arcbow is if you're playing against control and you can get it down on turn 2 or 3, it's like, it's over. It's just fucking over. Oh yeah, with the Goose, right. Right. So we can drop it and do a food if we need to. I don't know if we're quite red enough for Sarkin. The Harpooner's always good. And like... we've got plenty of 2s. I kind of like this like weird Super Frenzy thing we're doing. I wish we had like an interplanar beacon. Gurk or Phylath? I don't know that we're going to play a lot of basics. Phylath more fun? Yeah, probably. Yeah, like, see all this red coming around? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what people are drafting. I feel like we're all so used to drafting with bots, we just don't even know how to draft this kind of deck anymore. Fire Prophecy is impressive. I like Fire Prophecy quite well. That little extra bit of filtering is pretty good. Phylath might wheel. You like Deck and Stone a bit more? Too slow. I don't mind leading into the green. I'm not dying to play any of the red other than maybe Chandra, Fires, and Glorybringer. I don't even care about Varix, per se. Yeah, Ooze and Cavalier coming around I think are all fine signs for us. I doubt we're going to play this, but sure. These are probably both good signs. Even this is actually very friendly to the splashing idea. I don't mind it. The white might even not... The white might be like one of the Gideons and Tolsimir. So again, it might be really just base green with a little bit of white and red. We're mono G Naya? Yeah, I'm feeling that pretty hard. I'm feeling that, and I don't feel too bad about it. We got 20 green cards, and like splashing in something like a Yasharn feels pretty good with the mana we got. I do wish we had a little bit more red fixing, but OAT is decent. Goose and Druid both tap for any color, and the Mammoth, 2 of these being MDFC green lands means we can cut a forest for like a mountain. And the Fabled Passage is good. I think overall good signs. Yasharn's better than I'm giving credit for. No, I was saying Yasharn. I was saying we'd splash Yasharn in. Yep. No, I'm with you, Dan. It's good. Yeah, no, it's very good. And it lets you fix even more, right? And it's also just a 4-mana 4/4. Like we are a big stat deck, for sure.
I paused to mention that I have a Patreon page, which supports the work of this show. Just the other day, I posted a series of 8 of the art assets from this very video. These are available for download in ultra-high resolution to everyone, whether patron or not, absolutely free. I am also an affiliate with TCG Player, Inked Gaming, and Amazon. Check the video description for links. Thank you. Next up we have me, your friend John Terrell, host of the Cultic Cube YouTube channel and the Chateau Cube podcast. On with the draft. All right, everybody, we are here to draft the Monkey Cube. This looks like a super fun environment. And what have we got here? I've got to say Ashiok is a ridiculously powerful card. I love Cloud Concealer. The dual lands are good. I'd love starting on a dual. They enter tapped, though. Ashiok is one of these rare, the 5-mana Ashiok is a rare gold card that I'd, consider getting in on for a gold card. There's lots of good blue here, but, everybody loves blue. Hostage Taker's good too. Thassa's Intervention's good. I think here I could just take a land and stay open. I'm not super high on any of these things. Yeah, I'll take a land. I doubt there's any way that Ashiok wheels, but if it were to wheel, this would put us in a better place to cast it. Okay, Mesmerizing Benthid is a good card. It's kind of expensive. I don't know that I need it here. Jason, Raveler of Secrets is a good card. It's a version of the typical 5-mana Planeswalker design that we've had for a number of years now, where its plus will draw you a card and its minus will get rid of a threat in some way. So Ob Nixilis is another version of this kind of thing, of course. Mesmerizing Benthid. Oh, this isn't even the one I was thinking of, actually. What do I want more? I think... I guess that Jace. I may be getting too married to blue, though, and sitting here chatting about stuff is making me not consider my other options well enough. Seeing Hellblade is good. It's very good if I'm in a white aggressive thing. Displacer's cool. I mean, Duress is just a good card. Hand Disruption's great. Glacial Fortress, Temple of Deceit. These are all possibilities as well. Let's go with the Duress. Duress. Well, we're getting cut on blue, which is no, huge surprise. None of these party things very well. Eat to the Extinction is just a fine card. Regal Caracol, this is good too, but I'm not super interested in white at this point. That's going to be a sweet card with that new Cat Chariot from Kaldheim. That green, 3 and a green. vehicle. Here's another blue-black land, which is pretty good. Hypnotic Sprite is pretty good, too. Keep taking lands, I think. All right, an aggressive sack outlet kind of thing. This lets me tutor for something, including something not even in the deck. That's cool. This Nightmare Shepherd is kind of a sweet card. Whoa, what happened there? That went fast. Oh, Hagra Mauling. Whirler Rogue's good. Felmire Knight is a thing. Walking Ballista is really good. Obviously. But, you know, these MDFC are great. This is a murder on a land. Yeah, give me that thing. Wait, where'd I go? Oh, I'm here. Okay. Oh, Hieroglyphic Illumination. Hieroglyphic Illumination is just the thing that I want. It just replaces itself for a single mana, or it draws a couple cards. I guess. I don't know about all this party stuff. I'm not... We'll have to see how good that is later, but that's cool. Let's take it. Take the black card. Oh, wow, look at all these things that came back. Okay, Callous Dismissal. What do I want here? Oh, what did I get? Did I not get anything? Oh my gosh. I don't even know what I ended up with. Ripjaw Raptor. Oh, that's bad. That's not what I wanted. I don't know. Temple. Warped Landscape. Sure. Could let me cast some Eldrazi thing. Oof, okay. Ugin is a thing. Let's select that before something happens to it. Oh man, so many good cards here. Wow. Okay, so I love Supreme Will, Cavalier of Gales, Waker of Waves. You know. Settle. There are very few wraths in this format from my little glance over the list. But yeah, I'll take Ugin. There aren't many ways to accelerate him out. There aren't many mana rocks, if I'm remembering correctly. And, you know, green has some acceleration. It's not just a huge amount, though. Let's highlight Sensor before something happens to it. Oh, Gonti's a thing. Gonti's a thing for sure. Agonizing Remorse, also a thing. Yeah, I'll take Gonti, I guess. I like that. I'm not super high on... I'm not high on 3 mana rocks. But it does let me get to Ugin. Lithiform Engine, I'm sure that does cute things, but I don't know. Seems too cute to me. Champion of Wits is okay. Magic Mirror I've never played with. It could be a cool thing. Stolen by Fae is interesting. It seems kind of expensive for the effect. Collective Brutality is good. Oh, Languish is good. We were just talking about the relative paucity of wraths, so Languish is good. This new Null Priest of Oblivion is a cool card. But you want it more in black aggro. Collective Brutality is great, particularly great in a Reanimator strategy, since you can escalate and pitch things for an inexpensive cost. Endless One. Okay, so this kills something. That's cool. Well, yeah, Skyclaver. Yeah, I'll just take the Endless one, I think. I like these X spells, even in pretty controlling decks, because you draw it and it's going to be fine. Interesting. Mirari Conjecture could, of course, be good in this deck. Jace. I mean, he just makes some guys. That seems good. Meteor Golem's a thing. Oh yeah, another MDFC. That seems good. Realm Cloak Giant. There's another Wrath to know about. Meteor Golem is not a bad card, especially when we're not talking in an extraordinarily high power level. But, you know, I've got Ugin. That's a better card. What's Bell of the Brawl do? A Night Tribal thing. Okay. Not interested in that. A Braid? Am I scared stuff's gonna get taken? I don't know. Irrigated Farmland, maybe? Give me outs to splash white for something. I've already got that Glacial Fortress, so white is more of a Oh, all of this came back. Wow. Cavalier of Gales is another win condition that's very hard to get rid of. It does so many things. Waker Waves is probably... either of the other two is a more conservative pick that may be more correct, but I kind of don't mind having another big win con. Ooh, Agonizing Remorse came back. Yeah, that's good. That's a good card. And get some of the lands out of the way. Okay. Lithiform Engine, I maybe should have thought more about what that can do. Does this do anything? I don't know. I'll just take the sort of beater, I guess. Westvale Abbey, I'm not going super wide. Hanged Execution, okay, but I shouldn't really be thinking white. Boon of the Wishgiver is a real card. There's not a whole lot for us here. Unbreakable Formation's kind of scary. Yeah, I don't know. Boon, oh wait, Bleeding Edge, what does this do? I don't have much removal, do I? I don't think I do. Eat to Extinction? Wow, that's what I have for removal. Oh yeah, Hagramali. And then I've got a Wrath. Yeah, I'll still take the cycling card. Okay. I've got another land, which is possible. Oh, Jwari good. Jwari Ruins is real good. Liliana Death's Majesty. I mean, it's kind of expensive. I don't have a way of abusing the yard stuff, and I'm not really trying to reanimate creatures. I'm not going to have a ton of creatures, I don't think, to be reanimating. So she's very tempting, but yeah, let's take Jwari Ruins. This Mirage Mirror is cute. I kind of like that card. Sinister Sabotage is good. Oh, but yeah, okay. I think I would like more removal. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, what do we have now? Witching Wells, fine. Midnight Reaper, I'm not doing any Aristocrats type things, so it's not so good. Hidden Stockpile, I mean, there's no reason to splash for that, right? Azor's Gateway is just, I don't know, a fiddly thing. Witching Well, I'm not super duper excited about that. Could just cut something else, but that's alright. I'll take that. Hanger back. is very good. Freebooter also very good. But yeah, hang her back. I mean, this deck isn't looking bad, you know. I'm not that upset about this Dimir thing. Okay, Elspeth Sun's Nemesis is a heck of a card. You know, it's not for us here, I don't think, but it's a heck of a card. Bolas's Citadel is just ridiculous. It's sort of the only thing I'm really interested in, too. So I guess I just take it. I mean, I know I've now got a triple black and a triple blue spell. So we'll have to think more about that, but it's a cute thing. Plunder it probably doesn't, yeah. I mean, I'm not really a tempo-y deck. I don't think I'm doing that much with counters that I'm thinking of at the moment. Yeah, Sky Spawner's just fine. Do I have... I've got 1, 2... What? That's a artifact. Yeah, I mean, that's an artifact. Yeah. Not doing many artifacty things. Another removal spell, Westvale Abbey. Now that I've got high color commitments, so I don't think Westvale Abbey is really what we're looking for. Warkite Marauder's cute, and it's good in a blue tempo deck, but of course, again, that's not what we are doing. Oh, man, I didn't click anything, didn't I? Goodness. What do I want? I don't know. Freebooter came back. I don't know about that thing. Oh, well, okay. Gotta learn to click on things more quickly. Okay, cool. I think we'll pause here and then I'll click around and build stuff. Okay, hey, we have our deck. We've got this awesome Dimir control deck. This is a classic archetype, and I think this is a fine example of the genre. It's also an archetype that I have a great deal of fondness for, so I'm excited about it. This deck has a lot going for it, I think. I've got a lot of hand disruption, which I love and which I think will be key. We've got Duress, we've got Agonizing Remorse, we've got Kitesail Freebooter. We've got a lot of spot removal. Granted, it's a little slow and wonky, but that's the way it is, you know, by design in this format. So there's stuff like Bleeding Edge, Eat to Extinction, and the fact that that exiles Planeswalkers is going to be important, I think, because Planeswalkers, in my estimation, are going to be, good in the environment, a hallmark of the environment. Hagra Lane, I love that card. Is that about it? Oh, and then we got one of the rare sweepers in our colors. And granted, Languish isn't Damnation, but I think that's okay. I think this will, it's still going to do a ton of work for us in this environment. Other things of note here, I don't have much counter magic. That is a flaw with the plan. I've got Jwari Disruption, and I guarantee you I'm going to get some people with that. I'm looking forward to that. I think this card's quite good. I've talked about that elsewhere, of course. But man, that's sort of it. So that's not great. I do wish I had more counter magic. Other things, I've got a lot of cantrips. I've got a lot of cards that replace themselves in various ways. That's key. That allows me to tear through the deck and find important spells. I've got things like Witching Well, which granted is kind of a slow version of this thing, but I hoping it'll still be good. Cloud Conceer I love, of course. Cylindy Vision, another one of these MDFC. This, honestly, most of the time I expect to be a land. and that's fine. But later, if I draw this thing, I can replace it with a spell. I've got 10 hits in the deck, so I expect... there's 11 instants and sorceries total, including Cylindy Vision, so I expect it'll be able to find one of the other 10 spells a large percentage of the time. Hieroglyphic Illumination, such a good card. Jason, Raveler of Secrets, of course, generates card advantage. Gonti, of course, replaces himself and is a fine defender. Trades up well. Boon of the Wishgiver is great. Cycles for a colorless mana, or draws a bunch of cards later. And I've got very few creatures, as you see, but they're all very good, I think. I've got these X spells. We all know Hangerback's excellent. Endless One. Some people are down on this sort of card in a control shell. I love it, even in a control shell. You play it early as a little speed bump, or you draw it late and you play some enormous big dumb thing, and then they got to deal with an enormous big dumb thing. And we do need some ways of closing the game, of course. The guy I'm banking on to do a huge amount of work for me in closing out the game is Cavalier of Gales. Love this guy. He's incredibly hard to get rid of, and he replaces himself with card selection. He's, very good. And he's just this enormous big beater in the sky. He's going to kill things. Spawn of Mayhem looks weird here, I think. I mean, to me, it looks weird here. I like this guy better in aggressive black shells, typically. But he's another evasive beater, and I kind of wanted another win con, so we're sticking him in there. Sky Spawner's a nice 2-for-1. Get 2 creatures for 1 and a little bit of acceleration, which can be relevant, and lets me cast Cavalier on turn 4 or Jace on turn 4. I've got Ugin in here, of course. Ugin, I actually am not hugely fond of in some environments, even in control decks that are looking to go long game like ours is. But this environment, my read on it is that it's slow enough that Ugin is going to be an extremely powerful, sort of trump card to have waiting in the wings. I need to be able to get there to cast him, but I'm hoping to rely on my disruption and removal. And then I've got Chromatic Lantern. I don't actually love this card, but it helps me cast Ugin. Also helps me cast some of these cards that have absurd mana costs, like Cavalier of Gales and Bolas's Citadel. Bolas's Citadel is kind of a meme card, but also it's a fun card, and we're starting it. We're just going to start it. I may end up siding it out a bunch, I don't know. I expect that this deck will be good. Seems good to me. I think it will fare well against mid-range decks. Does a good job interacting with the board, and then can just go over the top in the air. I expect it will perform well against rainbow decks. And there's going to be some temptation in this cube for one or more people to draft very powerful cards that have heavy color requirements, that have 4 and 5 different color mana pips in them. This kind of deck should do very well against those, I would imagine, especially in attacking their hand and taking away key components that they need to assemble assemble whatever they're trying to get going on. This deck looks bad against aggro, so when I play aggro, I've got some sideboard options, but honestly not many. So, of course I'll side out Bolas's Citadel and Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and I've got some cheaper options and some more interaction to put in, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm super stoked. I'm excited about the deck. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, let's get to it. We pass over Godlike Kitten, who sends his regrets that he did not have the opportunity to create any material for this project. John W. has an innovative YouTube series called The Cube Counselor, in which he teaches mindfulness and mental health concepts in an inviting and personal way through reference to playing and designing cubes.
Yeah, this is my Orzhov deck. Started off a little bit overwhelmed. If you tune into my YouTube channel, I talk often about the emotions that I feel during drafts, and that's kind of the theme of what I talk about. So focusing on that, I had only barely glanced over the Monkey Cube. I was very excited to be invited to draft a different environment that I wasn't comfortable with, and that's kind of what I wanted to run with. Glanced over it, saw that there wasn't a ton of mono red support. There wasn't it was. I actually didn't know at the time that it was Origins forward, but that it was a I would say a mid power level cube. Some great synergies and things going on. But again, not knowing it was Origins forward, finding that out later, now I know why, some of the pieces that you might see in other traditional legacy or modern or vintage cubes wasn't there. So I wanted to keep it simple. I saw an opening pack. I wish I had taken a picture of my pack one, pick one. And I ended up on Elspeth Conquers Death. I just felt like the sagas are pretty good. They give you a lot of value. That's what I like to play. I'm kind of a mid-range player at heart. And this is where I started. Then I think my second pick was Helm of the Host, trying to stay a little bit open, maybe do something a little different. And I actually don't recall what my next pick was, but it definitely, I had already seen in the first two packs, quite a few black and white aggro cards that it made me feel like, okay, I missed that when I initially glanced over his draft. I think his aggro strategy is that, and I've already been past a couple, so hopefully, that will keep flowing. So I went with that. I think it was actually, but is it Basri's Lieutenant? I think that was it, and I kind of just thought, okay, I'm seeing that. I want to say I ended up wheeling Knight of the Ebon Legion or another Knight. So I had seen Knight. I think I saw Fairy Guide Mother as well in those first three picks. So I got the sense pretty quickly that it was going to be Orzhov aggro. And that's something I wanted to play. I love the Orzhov combination. I like the idea of that being the aggro in this cube. Not red or just traditional white. I mean, could have probably been that as well. But then I started seeing more and more Knight synergies, and I kind of didn't get as much as I wanted. You see a couple in the sideboard here. As far as building, I probably could have went a couple different ways because most of the cards kind of flowed in my direction. I ended up 1-3, but I had a lot of fun. And again, for me, the record wasn't as important as the experience of drafting a different cube. And this one, was really outside of my comfort zone. So I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate the opportunity from John to talk about my deck. Nightmare Shepherd did not work as well as I thought, but just getting a 1/1 body back with I did get a lieutenant back and triggered, and things like that can be very powerful. So I felt like maybe I was missing a couple pieces right here in the middle. Maybe one more decent aggro 1-drop, because there was definitely quite a few games where I was so close. Although I did play an opponent, I believe it was the curator of the cube, and he just happened to have the Sweltering Suns. The turn I would have won. So can't always go off of record, but maybe I missed a few picks. I'd have to go back and look at it. We do have the draft log here. So, but I felt like overall, the games I lost, I was very close. And then there was enough, recursion to battle through in here, with cards like that. So, if I was going to give a tip, maybe, again, you don't see all of it. Other people had the opportunity to pick too. So maybe people snipe some decent 1-drops from me, but not having a lot of 2-power 1-drops, and maybe like 3/2s and things like that. Maybe just a tick too slow, but again, in this environment, maybe that's good enough. So I'd definitely be interested to draft it again. I felt like I settled into the right lane. Again, I see I only had a few cards that I got late or on the wheel that aren't in this picture, a couple of black-green lands and other cards like that. I got a wealth of different things to try, so that was fun too, trying to figure out, what to bring in against certain matchups. And I had a great time. And again, I appreciate John, Mr. Cultic Cube, having me on to talk about it. And I'll turn it back to him. Take care, everybody.
Zach Barash is a professional game designer and a longtime senior staff writer for Hipsters of the Coast. I am excited that he streamed the event.
Okay, here we go. All right. So fixing's really strong in this pack. It's worth noting we're not going to get anything back. If I'm looking for 2-for-1s, there's Cultivate, Inscription of Insight. I don't like Quarantine Field that much. I think the most powerful card individually is Lotus Cobra. It's unfortunate that Fabled Passage and Evolving Wilds are here, and this pack is not sufficiently strong that I expect to wield those cards. Could cut off blue with Inscription, but I don't think it's that good. So there's an argument between Fabled Passage, Lotus Cobra, Ugin the Ineffable. I kind of want to just take Fabled Passage. No, but the Cobra's just so incredibly powerful relative to everything else. And I know myself, I favor blue-green. Uh-oh. Okay, good, everything loaded in. Oh, so there is a Hydroid Crisis. I don't think it's insane in cube. This pack is substantially weaker. I like Lovestruck Beast, but not as much. I mean, I'm probably going to be taking Hydroid Crisis. Roiling Growth is okay, but it's a mediocre fixing spell that I feel like we could probably wheel. Felidar Retreat is powerful, but I don't think I want to be taking it this early. Carnage Tyrant's fine. Like, we have some green cards that we can wheel. I feel like Lovestruck Beast is the one that I'd be happiest with, but I'm perfectly happy to take Hydroid Crisis. It's just a big finisher. I love Yahenni as a design. Huatli and Mausoleum Wander, that's just too expensive. But yeah, let's just grab one of these. Okay, we have some powerful planeswalkers here. Emrakul, I feel like, is the kind of card I want to wheel. Walking Ballista is probably excellent. I like Jace a lot. I like Incubation Druid. I actually really like Whirler Rogue. I kind of want to take Nissa, though. All right, our picks are there. Like, Nissa obviously is insane with Hydroid Crisis. Jace is really hard to cast. I think there's a good argument for Ballista. It's good, cheap interaction. It's excellent at most spots on the curve. But Nissa is a kind of irreplaceable effect. And if we can wield that Evolving Wilds, because I don't think we're going to wield that Fabled Passage. All right, we've got some Planeswalkers here. We've got Fixing that I'm not really looking at. Ramunap I don't expect to be good, because I feel like there aren't that many fetch lands. Territorial Allosaurus is pretty blah. So Mu Yanling is a very strong Planeswalker. I've been very impressed by her. Thassa I found hard to make work. Chivilla's good. Chivil, whatever. Final Amulet. It's an interesting one. I don't know how playable it is. Ashiok is definitely the most powerful card in this, and Sultai I found has just gotten really, really good with all of the good Sultai cards that have been printed lately. Mu Yanling is not as good in a ramp deck. Oh shit, what did we... Oh, well, we took Mu Yanling. Awesome. It was less time than I thought. Interesting. Okay. So Thassa's Intervention is a good flexible card. Gotta pay attention to the time. I like Desert. It's kind of a safe pick, but Hostage Taker is a very powerful card. There's no guarantee. Still do wish I took the Ashok. If we took the Ashok, I'd be very happy with the Hostage Taker. Feels like green's open. Blue and black might be. White is not. Yeah, I'm going to take the most powerful card here, particularly since Sandward Convergence is strong, but I don't know if it's very easy to make work. I love me a Callous Dismissal. Could take Woodland Cemetery if we're trying to go Sultai, but I'm going to take Golos. Golos is very strong. It has pretty dumb play patterns, and I believe Field of the Dead is in this cube. It's not a very good mana fixer, but especially since there's a bunch of like random pathways that we can probably wheel a couple free off-color sources. Wow, all fixing all the time. I don't care about any of these cards. Sadly, most of this fixing is not good. Crawling Barrens is quite strong, but if we're at all ambitious with our mana base, we're definitely going to want the Temple. Again, this still looks more like a blue-green deck, but Temple of Deceit is just a nice card. And we didn't wheel. This is a last pick. Warp Landscape is nice. Sylvan Advocate's fine. So it's between Temple of Melody and Labyrinth Falls. Definitely going to take the on-color fixing. not exactly married to this. And again, next pack we get to see what Fixie wheels. I'm hoping to get back Evolving Wilds, because I don't think Fabled Pats is just coming back. But if people are not prioritizing fixing it well, and that'll be insane with Lotus Cobra. Although, obviously, Lotus Cobra into Evolving Wilds is exactly... Cultivate's nice, but I'm going to take me a free source. Once Upon a Time is also strong. Cinderblade's fine. I've been really unimpressed by Hypnotic Spray. It's fine. It's just you're overpaying for every aspect of it. But yeah, Evolving Wilds, I think definitely the pick over Cultivate. This pack is based... Oh, wait. There's a Lovestruck Beast. This pack, we wield exactly what we wanted. And Incubate... Oh, we got some good cards here. I think, given how... Actually, you know what? I'm going to take the Ballista. I like the Incubation Druid, but Ballista's really strong. Ramanoff, Evolving Wilds? Sure. I'm going to still put you in the sideboard. So we got some fixing. We got some finishers. We passed up on only a little bit of ramp. Sure, I'll take Blast Zone. Probably put it on the board. Whoa, we wield Callous Dismissal. Hey, Arnab. Good to see you. Virtually, of course, but well, I think we're all used to a little bit more virtual communication nowadays than normal. I'm pretty happy with this. We've got some individually powerful cards. Eternal Scourge. I feel like there are specific shenanigans you can do to make it work. Okay. This is an interesting pack. Languish is an irreplaceable effect. Gilded Goose is an irreplaceable effect. Entrancing... So we're almost certainly blue-green. The Languish, I don't think we can play. And then the question is, what's the best blue-green card? I don't think it's Gilded Goose, especially if aggro is a little bit weaker. There's Vivian Reed, Baron, which I really like, the Eldest Reborn, and Harmonicon. It's such a cute card. I feel like there's a chance we can wield Entrancing Melody or Gilded Goose. And then the question is, do we want... I think I want the Baron. I think I'll just take the cheap Disruption. This is an interesting pack. Ifnir Deadlands is sweet. I really liked Voracious Hydra in the Arena Cube. Ishkanah Graph Widow is also going to be a good blocker here, and it's nice with given that we already have a fetch land in Evolving Wilds and an artifact in Blocking Ballista. There's a good chance we could trigger Delirium, but fixing is really important. We're probably not going to wield a Voracious Hydra. Reality Smasher seems really hard to cast. Could wield Skyclave Relic, but I don't even really want it. There's a Temple. Oh, okay. So we're going to wield one of these blue-green lands almost assuredly. I like the Mirari Conjecture, but you might notice a dearth of spells. G-Sphin's Prodigy looks like one of the most broken cards in the cube. And you might say, but Zach, the Mirari Conjecture, you don't want spells. Yes, but G-Sphin's Prodigy is just excellent. And yeah, it's unfortunate we're not going to get both of these, but I'm confident we'll get one of them back. And Jace is just so ludicrously powerful. Also not married to the green. I mean, shocker of all shockers, I'm drafting blue first and foremost. For Golos, we would obviously love Field of the Dead. We'll take pretty highly. We'll take some off-color lands. The Snessa doesn't look insane. This is an interesting pack. A couple options here. Thieving Skydiver is the sexy pick. There's a fair amount of artifacts. Celindy Vision is cute. I don't think we take it. I do love Modal Double Face cards, but the real question is, do we want a cheap card that might not do much, or an expensive card in Meteor Golem that's an all-purpose answer? I like an all-purpose answer, but I don't feel like we're going to struggle to get expensive cards. Interesting. All right, so we've got a choice between Opt. I think we can wheel one of those possibly. I like Vona, but not in this deck. Oh, wait, there's Hissing Quagmire. I don't think I want Opt. Question is, do I want Yorion? Yorion can reset our Planeswalkers. It works with Golos, Baron, Hostage. Yeah, it's Yorion. Yorion's a silly card. All right, so we're looking for accelerants, mana fixing. We don't really need powerful cards quite as much. Counter spells for disruption would be really good. Okie dokie. All right, so we're looking for more lands. We'll probably wield one of these blue cards with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, what are the last two cards? It's gonna be Hope of Girapur and probably Gen Reaser, so maybe we won't. But yeah, that's a Field of the Dead. We already have a Golos. This is coming together fairly nicely. And I get to play my favorite color combination. Although it's become a little bit more common for people to love blue-green given how pushed they've been for the last couple of years. Yeah, not married to this black, but Hostage Taker with a single swamp. We've already got Evolving Wilds, Temple of Deceit. I don't really want to count Lotus Cobra. Golas is kind of fixing, but Golas wants to fetch field a lot of the time. Lovestruck Beast is really excellent. Early blocking. Okay, I like Chulane. I like Kazandu Mammoth, although not as much in this deck, but I think I just want to take this Censor. It's not ideal, but we are looking for cheaper things, and we are looking for disruptive pieces, and especially since it doesn't look like we're a full-on ramp deck, and we might wield that Gilded Goose, although I don't think we're going to. And we passed up on Cultivate. Yeah, I'll take Censor. It's not ideal, but I'll take... Oh, baby. I like some of these cards. I don't think this card is very playable, but I'm very excited to see if it is. So they're Stolen by the Fae, but we've got a lot of expensive stuff. I'm going to take Champion of Wits. We don't have much card draw, and it's just an early speed bump that gives us something to do later on. Okay, I wasn't planning on wheeling Vivian Reed, but somebody was... I think Gilded Goose was in this pack, so somebody took that. But green still feels quite open. We will the Ishkana. Yeah, we'll take Ishkana. Yeah, so at this point, we're really just looking for fixing, interaction, and early ramp. A couple more good instants and sorcerers. Okay, so somebody took the Yavimaya Hollow. I was expecting the Temple to go, because Temple you're going to play off color more often. So we might be fighting for blue-green with somebody. I like Realm Cloak Giant, but obviously... Actually, I'm going to take Temple. I'm going to put it in the sideboard, but it... if we really want to play... Yeah, I like Dragon Master Outcast. Whoa, Waker of Waves. Did not expect that to come back. So the reason I wanted to take the White-Red Temple is because we could theoretically play it because of Golos. Search Rose Conta is good, but not in this deck. I don't really want deserts. Take Vraska. I don't think we want Treasure Map. Let me just get a vague sense of Search Rose Conta. So it hits us some Planeswalkers. Liliana Dreadhorde General is one of the more powerful cards in the cube. I don't know how castable it is, but I don't want these deserts. Like, I'll take them off the wheel. I don't think Search Rose Conta is going to be good with this many messes, and I think I'll just take the Liliana over the... Interesting. I like Sky Spawner. I like Karn. Growth Chamber Guardian? Interesting. Here, I think I'm just going to take Neutralize. Wicked Wolf would be nice, but absent food production, I'm not looking for a hill giant that might not even be able to deal with the way I wanted to. Overwhelmed Apprentice does feel like one of the weakest cards in the cube. Tulsamere is cute, but yeah, here we're looking at... We could play this just as an early play to block us, but I think Sky Spawner is really what we want. But Neutralize is something I'm happy to have. Interesting. I like Tamiyo, Collector of Tales, but we don't have much of a graveyard component in this deck. I feel like you want to be able to use every part of the animal there. Could wheel that. I like Crawl Harpooner as a blocker, but I really like Thassa's Oracle. It wins more games than it should. And the fail case just isn't that bad. And if we wheel Tamiyo or Crawl Harpooner, I'm happy. And if we don't, I'm not really unhappy. We could always take Thematic Compass, which is always too slow. Okay. Interesting. So we have a Planeswalker, but it's more aggressive than we're looking for. We have Midnight Clock, which I really like. I think it's really between Riverglide Pathway, just as another land, basically as an island that doesn't have the same name as Island. I think I'll take Jadelight Ranger. It's a speed bump. Yeah, I'll take the Jadelight Ranger. Okay, we've got Desert of the Mindful, another Liliana, Temple, which if we wheel would take, or Desert. But yeah, I'm going to take the Dren Catacomb. I think we can play this Liliana, and I think we definitely want to play Hostage Taker. Like in more mid-rangey cubes, cards like Hostage Taker that are cheap disruption that also can provide card advantage and have value with things like Fury into Blink. Definitely happy with that. All right, so interesting choice here. I like Sinister Sabotage. I like Mirage Mirror. I like both of these black cards. Hour of Promise is really, really strong because, well, not only are we potentially going to get those deserts, but really it fetches up Field of the Dead. But as good as that is, I don't think we can afford to not take Manowar Elves. We just don't have that effect. Okay, interesting. Is there supposed to be a card there? I don't think so. Oh, there is. Roalask, that's interesting. Heart of Kiran. 1, 2, 3. You have a non-trivial number of planeswalkers to play Heart of Kiran. Roalask is cute, but I love me and Nissa. I like a biogenic ooze too. Oh, talking too much. All right, well, I like me a Cavalier of Thorns, especially when we've got ourselves a Field of the Dead. But yeah, we're just going to take Llanowar Wastes. More duels and more differently named lands for our field. Let's use Column View, sort by CMC. Okay, and now we're wheeling things that we don't care as much about. Haship Oasis, Vraska, or Ipni Rivulet. I think I'm just going to take the Ipni Rivulet. The Cryptic Caves. Actually, I'm going to take Vraska. It's another piece of disruption, and it works really nicely with Nissa. Our fixing is okay. If we had a white source, I might take that. I like Davriel, but not enough. So it's between Growth Chamber Guardian and Skyship Plunderer. I'll take the thing that can pressure opposing planeswalkers. We got Crawl Harpooner and Tameo. I'm going to take Tameo here. Tameo can make it much easier to win the game with Thassa's Oracle. And helps trigger Delirium for Ishkana. I can just regrowth something. Phyloth. I don't think we're not playing any of these. But I'll put Phyloth there. Desert of the Mindful. Sure. We're not dying for ETB tap lands, especially when we already have 2 temples and an Evolving Wilds. Whoa. I'll take Battle of the Bridge. I don't think I want to put it in my main deck, but it's a nice effect to have. It's interesting how light we are on green. Yeah, Niv. Niv's just not castable. Your mana needs to be so good for Niv to work. And then you need to have such an incredibly ambitious deck. Like, I think it's a sweet card. And I'm trying to think. I feel like it's been cast against me on curve in the Arena Cube, and it still wasn't good enough. It's just a big dumb thing at the end of the day, and you really have to contort your mana base. And whereas I like spending picks on your mana base, like, I don't know, you have to have so many ETB tapped duels, and then you need all of your cards to be a variety of differently colored cards, and you also need to draw your Niv.
At last, we conclude with Elliott, aka Sniffygull, who is a true friend to the Cube community. The monkey cube is his figurative baby, and he is also the proud father of a more literal son, whom Elliott describes as a dancing mouse. Elliott was kind enough to port his cube from paper into MTGO and to facilitate today's draft experience.
Hello, Sniffygull here, guesting in to talk about the decks of the Monkey Cube draft we had on the 9th. I'm actually really excited to get to do this. I'm going to just kind of do a quick and dirty compare and contrast, how does this look to like the idealized 40. So first up, we've got Jonathan Brostoff's deck. He drafted kind of a black-red aggro sacrifice deck. It's actually really good. Let's look real quick at the mana base. We've got Canyon Slough, Dragon Skull Summit, Temple of Malice, Smoldering Marsh. 4 black-red duels. That's amazing. That's all your mana fix you needed. Ramming Up Runes, Desert of the Glorified. You're going to get to trigger the runes twice if your game goes long enough, which I don't think it will of how aggressive this deck is. Let's look at token makers real quick, because there's a lot of them in here. We've got PNLR, Handward Garrison, Fopter Engineer, PN Kirinelar, Karn, Sark and the Mastos, Chandra Flamecaller. The nice thing about these is that half of them are making artifact tokens, which are actually going to gain haste from Fopter Engineer and give you just an extra little push of aggression in your early and mid games. Judith the Scourge Diva is actually something to look at for that. She's kind of the perfect bridge in your black-red decks between being heavy sacrifice synergies and just being a generic aggro deck. since she gives you the +1/+0, when your creatures die, she starts throwing damage around. So there's a ton of just kind of generic synergy there. Nothing too like on the nose, but it's all very strong. We can look at payoffs for your creatures dying as Zulaport Cutthroat and Bastion of Remembrance too, where they gain you in life and drain your opponent a life, and that just adds up incredibly quick if you have 3 or 4 counters out and you either eat a sweeper or, you're just getting them to block because they don't want to die. An interesting choice here that I really appreciate is you look at the sideboard here. He has Shivan-Fire and Royal Eruption. Now, he could easily have mainboard both of these because they're great pieces of removal, but instead he has Crater Maker and Heartfire Emulator in the deck. So that's actually upping his utility an incredible amount. Emulator, being able to sacrifice itself to ping a creature or planeswalker equal to its power, is pretty good, because if you have it out, cast a planeswalker or cast a spell, it gets a little bigger, the prowess trigger, and then you can kill something larger than you would if the Shivan-Fire or the Royal Eruption without having to kick them. Same with Crater Maker, where it's going to hit an artifact or even an Ugin or a Karn or something with the sacrifice ability, or just do 2 damage somewhere, and that's really good. Careless Celebrant is nice because it throws a shock around when it dies. I don't really have anything additive for this deck. I think it's incredibly strong. I think he drafted a lot of really good synergies during the draft portion. Okay, next up we have Paul's deck, which is 6-color Madness. Well, obviously not Madness because that's not in here, but it's a 6-color deck, which is really interesting. We have really cool gold payoffs in Nicole, Melissa Ravager, Omnath, Locus of Creation, Ashiok, Shalane, and Kenreef. So those are your 5 colors. Your 6 colors, naturally, the Waste, that sweet little diamond that we got in Over the Gatewatch. You always want the Bismuth Waste just for what it's worth. It looks much better. It's all gemmy. Bismuth is one of those great rocks. Minerals. So we actually, for the 6-color, we have Matter Reshaper, Thought-Knot Seer, and Worldbreaker as things that you're going to use that for. Matter Reshaper, Thought-Knot Seer are just really good, strong magic cards that have that colorless mana requirement, which we can actually see. There's several ways to pay for here. Arch of Erasca, Battlefield Forge, Field of Ruin, and the Waste itself all generate that. So then beyond that, we have Ugin the Ineffable is a really cool colors payoff at the top end. Sandwarden Convergence is one of those cards that kind of got put in during the transition from paper to digital just because it's cheap. Is a high end for like a ramp deck or a control deck. And it wins the game outright if your opponent doesn't get rid of it because it's just pooping out 5/5s every turn. Let's look at some fixing in here. We have Skyclave Relic, Cultivate, and Roiling Regrowth to either act as a mana rock in the case of the Relic, or Cultivate and Regrowth, grabbing basic lands, which is a spread of 3 forests, 2 islands, 2 plains, a swamp, and a mountain. So all our basics are represented, so you can just grab those out early on. Some interesting land payoffs here. We have Sylvan Advocate becoming a 4/5 of 6 or more lands, which is really good. Omnath has landfall, so if you can trigger that with either the Cultivate or the Regrowth, you're in a pretty good spot because you get in the life, draw the cards, add the mana, and just really tip over the game at that point. It's one of the best stabilizers in the cube, and I think it's a card worth building around. This is pretty close to my idealized version of a 3, 4, 5, 6-color deck, In a perfect world, I'd want to see Golos and Fields of the Dead in here, because then you could grab a couple more lands, make zombies, trigger the Golos, get some of your cool payoffs like the Worldbreaker, the Convergence, or the Emrakul out for free. But overall, this is really cool. We have some great kind of pseudo removal with Inscription, which can be a fight spell. Hanged Executioner can exile itself to exile a creature. That's actually, for what it's worth, a replacement for Skyclave Apparition, because that's like $15 on Moto, and that's a little ridiculous. Eventually I'll have both of them in the cube, but Hanged Executioner is really neat because it makes a token and then can remove something. Forsaken Monument is really interesting here because it adds extra mana in the case of your Waste, your Yavimaya Coast, Erasca, Battlefield Forge, Field of Ruin, so it turns them all into Ancient Tombs, which helps ramp you up to things like Kenreef or Emrakul or Ugin, but it also makes your colorless creatures stronger, such as Matter Reshaper, Filigree Familiar, Thought-Knot Seer, Ugin tokens, which is really good. I think if you asked me for changes, I would say maybe a few more lands, maybe try to grab Field of the Dead or Golos, but very strong overall. And Kenreef is actually really good as a payoff here. It's in the cube as a payoff for Winota decks, but when you're able to trigger 2 or 3 of the abilities, it pays for itself, like that. And I'm a terrible snapper, but just do a little Thanos gif in your head. Next up is my deck, which is a UR Spells deck. My mana base is okay. I ended up with 2 duels, which is a little disappointing. I actually managed to get all the spell doubling payoffs, Rouse, Storm, Conjulant, Primal Amulet, Double Vision, Baranay Conjecture, which are all really strong. The main game plan here is just to kind of filter through the deck, double spells, and get value that way. Something I did during the draft is I was trying to grab things like Fateful End, Scare the Critic, Slaying Fire, Wizard's Lightning, because they do direct damage, so you're able to turn your free damage into 6 if you have Double Vision or Ral or whatever, whichever copy and spell you're using. And if you're able to copy something 2 or 3 times at a turn, like let's say you have Primal Amulet and Double Vision out, or the 3rd chapter of the Baranay Conjecture and one of those, and you go Fateful End, you're doing 9 damage, scrying 3 times. It is an incredible amount of synergy. Magmatic Channeler is a new add to the cube, and that actually played really well. It's kind of a mix between Light Up the Stage and Experimental Frenzy, because you're able to discard something, exile the 2, pick 1 and cast it. So it's a nice bit of card selection. Saheeli was okay here. I'm not super happy with her in the cube. Nexus of Fate was the main win condition, where you just want to copy that a few times and eventually cast like Entrancing Melodies and steal their creatures, or mill yourself out with Jace. But yeah, this is a pretty ideal version of this deck. I went 2-2, which is not great. I think that was just mostly misplaying. I would say if you're drafting this, try to grab something like a Kozilek's Return, another board wipe, or a couple other creatures to kind of block with, because I ran into issues against J-Bro for sure, where I was just getting aggroed out, and then against John was the same thing, where I just didn't have answers to block. But yeah, this turned out okay. It's a pretty good example of the spells deck. Next up, we have JJ the ManCub's deck, which is a mono green Naya, which I love. That's so good. So you'll notice his mana base is basically all forest, 3 mountains, 4 red sources carrying the Rootbound Crag, 5 if you count the Fabled Passage, total of 3 white sources. He has the Branch Off Pathway, which flips into a white source. Probably about 70% of his deck is green spells. He has a lot of the heavy green payoffs like Kogla the Titan Ape, Cavalier of Thorns, and Steel Leaf Champion, and also Vivian Arcbow Ranger, who I really like because she has a fight mode and then she puts counters on your guys. This is an interesting one. I think the green section of the deck is the absolute best part. I don't have his record offhand, so I'm not sure how he did, but I'm kind of wondering if maybe either going slightly heavier on the red or not, or down on the red might have been a better choice, because you could cut your 4 red spells and put in the Allosaurus, the Arcbow, and both Gideons, and you'd probably be in about the same place. But Glorybringer and Chandra are both incredibly strong as magic cards. But yeah, I can see here he really prioritized grabbing the mana dorks here, because there's only 4 true mana dorks in the cube. It's the Goose, the Florahedron, Paradise Druid, and Llanowar Elf. So he has 3 of the 4, and then there's naturally spells that ramp you. So that's really good. So he has his fixing in the form of the mana dorks and the ability to ramp his threats out a turn or 2 earlier. Vivian Champion in the Wilds is a good pick for him here, because you're able to flash in threats later on. You play turn 3, you plus, pass turn, come back to you, pass to your opponent. Then you can flash in like a Wicked Wolf or Tulsamir and then kill something on the board and gain some life. Flashing in a Kogla would be absolutely backbreaking. We see Voracious Hydra at the top end. Yeah, this is just some good, clean, like if you're looking to be a heavy green deck, these are the picks I would make. Like I said, I would consider maybe just being green-white. That might have been the answer. In the board too, you'll notice he has a Shock and Fires of Invention. So there might have been a build of this where you're slightly, quote-unquote, bigger with the Fires of Invention, just cast your creatures for free, but it looks like a really good deck. I like the 16 lands instead of the full 17 with the 3 dorks. So next up, we have Cultic Cube's deck. This is a blue-black control-ish deck. So we have Clearwater Pathway, which flips into Darkwater Pathway, I believe. It's the black land on the side where it's a swamp, and Sunken Hollow, similar to my mana base, where it's not great, not terrible, it's functional. Let's look at control things here. We have Duress, Agonizing Remorse, Kitesail Freebooter are all really good at cleaning the hand out of threats. Bloodchief's Thirst, Bleeding Edge, Eat to Extinction, Languish, and Hoggermaw round out the removal. These are all pretty strong. There's kind of a glut of removal on 4. I think he might have done better trying to take maybe like a Fatal Push or a Heartless Act at some point if he saw them. Bleeding Edge I actually really like in a deck like this because it's the Flame Tongue Kavu, where it gives something -2/-2, so it'll either kill it post-combat and then it makes you a 2/2, or just kill a small guy, kill a Llanowar Elf. I'm not sure about Chromatic Lantern here. I might have actually preferred running the Jace he has in the sideboard over that, because I don't think the 1 mana is great and there's not really a ton of fixing needed. Bolas' Citadel is really cool as a high end for a deck like this because it lets you exchange life for cards off the top, and if you're able to cast something like a Buddha the Wishgiver, you draw 4 for 6 life, and that feels really good. I'm curious about the Ugin. I'll have to ask him if he managed to cast it more than once or twice, because there's not really a lot of ramp in the deck, and at 8 mana it's kind of hard to get to, and you might not necessarily want to pay 8 life. this is interesting as far as like a control deck is concerned. Like I was saying, I would have maybe tried to grab some more removal. Sensor would have been really good in here. But other than that, it looks nice. You know, Sky Spawner, Cloudskin here. These are cool tempo-wave blue creatures. Spawn of Mayhem is really good as a 4-drop for getting in because it does damage each turn. Gontu, Lord of Luxury, is one of the best control pieces in the cube just because it's 2-free with Death Touch and then gives you a free spell. Cavalier of Gales is awesome. It's Brainstorm on a jet plane, right? Endless One, Hangerback Walker are both great late game mana sinks. You know, I would have actually liked to have seen like an Azor's Gateway in this deck, so then you could really pump like 15 mana into one of them late game or just cast a bunch of spells with it. I do like the texture of kind of the Glut at 4 and then just some nice late game payoffs. After this, we're coming up on Godlike Kittens deck, which is a blue-white deck. It's certainly not aggressive. I'd say it leans more towards the Blink archetype, which is what's actually supported in blue-white, which is good. And there's some Panharmonicon payoffs in here. Only one dual land, which is a little questionable. I think if you're in a deck like this, you really want to have more and maybe be a third color. For the blue deck, I like to be 3 colors, either green or red, so you can get the tokens from like PN Karen and Blink shenanigans. So let's look at Blink payoffs. We have Charming Prince, Shepherd the Flock, Felidar Guardian, and Vasa Deep Dwelling will blink your creatures. ETB triggers, we've got Overwhelmed Apprentice, Charming Prince, again, Angel Invention, Regal Caracol, Drowner of Hope. So you'll see here Panharmonicon is in the cube, which is good for all your ETBs. You know, it's going to double all your tokens and stuff. Drowner of Hope, Regal Caracol, Angel Invention, those all get really good when you have Panharmonicon out. I mean, I think they're really good initially, but they get much better. It's disappointing to not see the Eldrazi Displacer here, because with Panharmonicon, Drowner of Hope, and Displacer, you get an infinite combo where you're able to just keep flickering Displacer, generating an extra Scion each time, and then you make eventually 20 or 30 or however many you need to kill your opponent. It's a slightly more fair version of the Felidar Saheeli combo, which is in the paper version but not in the digital version, just because I was trying to cut down on the less fair combos. But yeah, I think there's just kind of a crisis of identity here where the deck isn't aggressive early game enough. I would have liked to have seen like Skyship Plunderer, Thieving Skydiver, those kind of things. The 2/1 flyers in blue for more of a tempo aspect, or more 1-drops. There's a ton of white 1-drops. History of Benalia would have been really good here because you can blink it on the second chapter to keep getting knights. There just aren't really enough payoffs for the blink aspect or the aggro aspect, so it's kind of lost in its identity, which I saw playing against him. Gudra, I think, is really neat as a payoff because you can just blink that and keep milling and getting creatures back. You can actually mill somebody out that way, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, I think if you're going to be a blue-white deck in the cube, you really want to make sure to either be aggro tempo, grabbing the white 1-drops and the 2/1 flyers in blue, or focus more on getting the ETB creatures and get the Displacer and kind of go for the Panharmonicon out of the battlefield combo thing. Next up, we have John W's deck. So this is a black-white aggro deck. This is actually really good. This is probably at the level of like J-Bros as far as like this is the perfect version of the deck. So we've got some good fixing. We've got Shambling Vent, we've got Isolated Chapel, basics, and then Westvale Abbey is actually really good in here because we have recursive 1-drops. You've got Gutter Bones and Dread Wanderer. There's one more in the cube, I believe. I can't think off the top of my head. Crypt Breaker makes tokens. Thraven Inspector is probably the best white 1-drop in the cube. Legion's Landing is a great payoff card here because you can attack early on and then start making tokens. We have evasive creatures in the form of like a Daunto Vanguard of Indestructible, Remorseful Cleric, Selfless Spiritable Flyers. Here's the Heartless Act we were talking about. Order of Midnight recurs a creature and it's a flyer. Knight of Malice has first strike. It gets bigger in this deck. Smuggler's Copter is phenomenal in any deck really that has more than like 5 creatures. But in here it really shines because you can crew it with literally anything. History of Benalia is kind of a knight's payoff. Murderous Rider, removal spell, also a knight. Bastard's Lieutenant makes a knight. Nightmare Shepherd is really good for bringing back creatures like Smuggler's Copter, just so you can keep getting triggers. Selfless Spirit, so you can get another protection. Thraven Inspector comes back, makes another clue. Crypt Breaker comes back, keep making guys. Elspeth Conquers Death is a really good removal spell in white. It's probably the best one in white, I would say, because it has the Elders Reborn effect at the end, where you get back a creature or a planeswalker, but it gets the counter. Stonecoil Serpent, just a mana sink. I think between the main board and the sideboard, you probably have the perfect deck. I would probably put Ariel and Vona in the main board. Maybe get rid of Stonecoil Serpent and just something to have the knights, because then you get a little extra knight density and they pay off of each other. Finale of Glory I would want in the main board if it were me, and then Helm of the Host is something to consider, but between the main board and the sideboard, I think this looks really good. Last but not least, we have Zach's deck. And this is a 5-color Sultai. So we've got Golos, which is what I was saying we wanted earlier in the 6-color deck, but what are you going to do? You can activate Golos off the temples here. There's a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lands that are differently named, 12, 13, 14 when you count the basics. That's really good, so you'll actually get to trigger that. You'll see fixing here in the form of Lenore Elves and Lotus Cobra. Lotus Cobra is great for Golos because you can play a land and then get the last 1 or 2 colors you need if you're missing it. There's kind of interesting Planeswalker suite here. We have Vivian Reed, Nisu Shakes the World, Tameo Collector of Tales, Vraska Golgari Queen, and Nissa Voice of Zendikar. So that's some tokens. Tameo is really good in this cube because she can tutor something out while filling your yard, and then she gets back any card when on the minus, which is incredibly powerful. It's deceptively powerful. You know, if Oko did not exist in the paper version of the cube, she would be in that slot, and she honestly might be because I think she's just really good. Walkie Beast and Hydra Crisis are really good payoffs for the late game. This is, again, I would love to see like an Azor's Gateway in a deck like this where you can gateway for 10 or 12 and get the Hydra Crisis out and just get a bunch of life, draw a bunch of cards. You know, I wonder if maybe the Niv Mizzet might have been a good thing to bring in, or the Blast Zone just to have an extra name, but I think this looks pretty strong as far as like a 3-color deck splashing a couple other colors is. You know, you have Jace Finch Prodigy draws you cards, Censure, Talis Special Level, really good interaction pieces, Champion of Lich draws you cards, Baron's an awesome tempo card, Mu Young Ling is deceptively strong because you get 1+ and then you make a 4/4, and from there it's free money, you know, where you're able to do that every turn and just keep sending 4/4s to the battlefield. Love Truck Beast is very strong since it can block no matter what, even if you don't have the 1/1 for it to attack, and a 5/5 is just an incredible wall. If I were to be drafting this kind of deck, I would probably go heavier on the black and be more of a rock deck splashing blue for like control pieces, but this is cool. It's a good deck. I like seeing Waker of Waves in here because you can discard it and then just filter something out of the top. Baron is really good because you can actually reset your Planeswalkers or just bounce a creature. Hostage Taker is an awesome card. In the sideboard, I'm kind of surprised to see Liliana Dreadhorde General not being played in the main deck, but I think it's fine to bring in Ishkana too, because there's artifact creatures in here, plus Evolving Wilds. You could actually get Delirium turned on pretty easily. With Evolving Wilds, I'm curious why we're not seeing the Remnant Excavator in the main board, but I think it's arguable that it's just not good. But yeah, that kind of wraps up my thoughts on all of these. I think for the most part, it's all representative of what you want to be going for in the cube. There's not a single deck that I saw out of the 8 that I would say, oh no, how did this happen? Which makes me very happy as a cube designer that people were kind of able to pick up on the vibe of it all and put things together. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope this has been a little informative, and I'm out.
Thank you ever so much to Elliott for putting on this wonderful event, to my colleagues for lending unique insight to this project, and to you for supporting Cube content. Let's keep hanging out and chatting Cube. Let's keep hanging out and chatting Cube. Let's keep hanging out and chatting Cube.